Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 322. This week we have Hold That Fani, the Veep Stakes, Where'd the Water Go? Taken out of context. Have a water. I'd like to solve the puzzle. Good Lord, Duncan. In the Navy and slowering the lowering. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my part in this endeavor, Representative Emeritus Ken Poland.
Did you just change your voice on the Navy portion of the introduction? I think you did. I think you tried to sing it.
You can sail the seven seas. No, I can't. I can't sing with a dam.
Yeah, I can't either. I don't even try.
I mean, look, my singing doesn't mean I won't sing with proper social lubrication and do karaoke. But I had someone videoed me doing Neil Diamond one night, and I'm like, delete that. Oh, I'm going to post it. Dude, you post it, and we're going to rumble.
Yeah, you got to be careful. People will post anything nowadays.
But yeah, how was your week?
It was good. Getting down to, as the show drops, the early voting will start for the runoff across Georgia. You know, there's a lot of important races going on. We've got 3rd District Congress race up down here. I'm in the county commission race, and then there's quite a few runoffs throughout the state. So it's going to be an interesting race just to see how many people will turn out to vote in the middle of June.
We only have one runoff, and it's for Post 4 commissioner. I live in Post 1. Well, there is a second runoff. I think it's for Congress. Whatever Democrats can get crushed by Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right. I don't know why. I don't know why they waste $4,000 or whatever the qualifying fee is.
Yeah, I mean, I assume there's only one of two reasons. It's either they're trying to figure out a way to line their own pockets because DNC money comes in once you get through the primary. And for the DNC, they just want to cost Margie money, and it won't. She's got a huge war chest.
I've heard, I know you say they are just wasting money, but I've also heard that as Republicans should be running in more Democrat-controlled districts. So the point being, if you don't have a Republican, even if the Republican knows he's going to lose, at least run in a Democrat-controlled district and get out and knock on doors and share the Republican values and principles with people. So I'm not sure that people shouldn't be running, especially Republicans and majority Democrat districts.
No, and there's a more sinister reason why I want Republicans running in Democrat districts is it makes them spend money. So even state races, state house, state senate.
Especially, that's what I was really referring to, the state house and state senate. I mean, you should have every race contested across the state. I don't care what kind of district.
If you're sitting on cash and you have no opponent, you can take that cash and give it to other Republicans elsewhere in the state. But if you have an opponent, you got to be prepared to run.
Yeah, I mean, you do, but I just think that voters need to hear the other side. And why not get out there and hustle and tell voters the other side of the equation? Why not talk about school choice as a Republican and Democrat controlled districts? Why not talk about lowering taxes for people and creating opportunity for people in that district? That's what you should be doing. Now, you may not win much vote, but hey, at least you get people thinking about the alternative. And if there's not an alternative, then it just seems like especially state house and state senate, it's like $400 to qualify. Now, it's not easy running as a candidate, right? You start getting smeared all over the place, and so you got to have a thick skin to do it, but we should have Republicans running everywhere.
Yeah, and it also starts to highlight stuff that everybody, once explained, agrees with. School choice.
Yes, right, exactly.
If you're in a bad school district in Atlanta and you're knocking on doors, you say, wouldn't you like to get your kids out of the school?
Yeah, and that leads into a conversation. And it leads to a conversation of, do you know your representative voted no on allowing you to take your money and enroll your child in a and in a better educational situation. So, I just think it makes a lot of sense to run candidates in these blue districts.
It's talking about things that are not left-right. School choice, to me, is not a left-right issue.
No, it's not. It's the number one polling issue across both.
Yeah, and it's
both
a right
major
wrong
parties.
issue.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, you know, obviously you can't go into a heavy blue district and start talking about guns.
Yeah, right.
You can go in there and talk about crime.
Yeah, but I agree. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know why you wouldn't run people in these various districts. But anyway, I guess people don't want to get attacked either. I mean, that is part of it. So we'll see.
Well, it looks like from your note here, Hunter's not the only Biden in deep doo-doo.
This happened on last Thursday. Did you? I mean, look, Biden. I don't know about you, but I see Biden sometimes, State of the Union, for example, and it's a whole different Biden on stage, or talking. And I don't know what they did in the State of the Union, but that was a completely different Biden than we saw this week in Normandy. I mean, he gets on stage with Emmanuel Macron, who is the president of France, and he just tries to sit down or squat into this imaginary chair. And then as Jill Biden sees him doing it, she kind of puts her hand up to her mouth like, oh, what's happening? And then she guides him away. Sometimes he looks like, he's 82? He looked older than the World War II vets that were at this ceremony this week. He just looks terrible at times.
Yeah, the 101-year-old that was in the front row, he helped to stand at his walker. Yeah, he looked more competent.
Yes, and then when this deal was over, Biden didn't even stay. I mean, like Jill escorted him off the stage. He didn't stay around to shake people's hands. He's just a total embarrassment this week when he went to Normandy.
Yeah, look, when we talk about squat, anybody who's been around a toddler, still in diapers, that they will look at you and
that's what it looked like.
Yeah, exactly what it looked like. It looked like a toddler that's about ready to be potty trained.
Yeah, look, he's pinching one off, right? And that, and that's what all the right wing news outlets are saying is he pooped in his pants. And
I don't know if he did or didn't.
I don't know if he pooped.
Or if he thought there's a chair there and Jill's like, no, don't fall down again.
And then he's got those shoes on that they put him in so he won't trip all over the place. He just is having a hard time. I mean, he looks so old for an 82-year-old.
It's not his age.
No, it's not. It's his mental condition at this point. It's I don't know how they're going to keep him around for the next 7 or 8 months. I really don't.
I've said it before. I think they're doping him. I think the days that you see him that's really sharp, like before the debate or before the State of the Union, I think they make sure he gets lots of rest, and then they dope him, which means oxygenate his blood.
Yep.
Get the most you can, and you can't do it all the time, but you get the most you can out of that hour or whatever. But even the speech on Friday, he only talked for like 5 minutes, maybe. Yeah, I'm okay with politicians only talking 5 minutes. Well, it's a serious occasion. It's 80 years.
I know what you mean. Yeah, he tried to enter channel like Ronald Reagan, and he just did a terrible job doing it.
Stumbling over the names. No, look, I do it all the time. I stumble over names and things, but this is something he should be prepared for. And not just that. When you have a teleprompter, they break things down so you can read it phonetically.
Yeah, and that's the problem. He reads everything on a teleprompter, right?
Pause.
Even when they pause and I don't know how he's going to make it. I really don't. I'll be interested to see what his mental capacity is at the debate coming up. Debate's coming up at the end of June, so it's only 2 or 3 weeks away until him and Trump are on the stage together.
Well, speaking of dirty fannies, Trump's trial in Atlanta is on an indefinite hold.
Yes, it's done, right? I mean, this thing's basically the Georgia Appeals Court halted the election case against Donald Trump until they ruled on Fani Willis and the ability for her to actually preside over the case. So this thing's all but dead at this point.
It can't happen for the election anyway. They're talking about an appeals decision in August or September.
Right.
And then if it gets appealed from there, it goes to the Supreme Court, which they'll do the same thing. So the earliest it could possibly happen would be spring.
I wonder if we're going to get an expedited appeals hearing in New York on his trial that he was found guilty on a couple weeks ago. I mean, you think the appeals court up there is going to step in and do something, or, his when is he sentenced? That's coming up sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks. I just wonder if they're going to step in and do something quicker, sooner than later. I mean, what an embarrassment it would be if that judge sentences Trump to prison or jail.
I don't know how you can have any more election interference or attempted.
Attempted,
Look,
right?
The money's flowing in for Trump on this stuff.
Oh, he made, what was it, 50 something million dollars in campaign contributions the day after he was found guilty.
Not just that, Silicon Valley billionaires are starting to move over to Trump.
I saw that.
And
I saw that on the news today. Yep.
When you see investors and billionaires start moving from the Democratic side, look, money is not blue, money's not red, money is green. These guys do not care.
No, they don't.
I don't care if Google puts up the rainbow flag. Google doesn't care. Google's interested in making money. So when an opportunity comes up, they can say all the social niceties that they want. But at the end of the day, they want a business environment that is conducive to them making more money.
No, 100%.
And they made more money 3 years under Trump, and you have to consider 2020 an outlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's Trump's raising a ton of money right now to help him. He's putting a lot of that money in the court system, paying his lawyers, which I'm not sure I agree with all of that. I mean, I think if I want to give Trump money, I want it used on his reelection campaign and not to pay lawyers. But I guess it all kind of goes together at this point. It's all the same thing, right? It's he's got to pay his lawyers to successfully run for president.
It's going to be very interesting. Biden's already calling him a convicted felon. New York has already asked him to turn his gun in, or his permit in. He can obviously transfer it to one of his sons.
Yep.
I say he doesn't need a gun. That's not how I mean that somebody doesn't need a gun. But
everybody needs a gun.
If anybody in the entire world has the most protection around him all the time, it's a president or former president.
Yeah, he does he's still got Secret Service and all that. I got what you meant.
Now, Reagan used to carry a pistol on him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's like, hey, and he was joking, I think, with his security details, like, if you guys get in trouble, just let me know. So, speaking of Trump, we are looking at the Veep stakes.
Yeah, how about this? So this last week they put out Trump's campaign started sending out vetting materials for candidates that have been discussed, so they can start gathering their information, turn it in, and getting vetted for potential the vice president position that Trump will announce here over the next few months. So there's been 4 candidates so far that have kind of gone through this, and that's New York Rep. Elise Stefanik, Florida Representative Byron Donalds, who we'll actually got a story on in a few minutes, Secretary Ben Carson, which I thought was kind of an interesting one, Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas. I like Tom Cotton, but the new 4 guys are Marco Rubio, Florida Senator, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, Tim Scott from South Carolina, and J.D. Vance from Ohio. So that's all the people that are currently on the short list for a VP.
I don't know what Burgum brings to it. He is a very nice guy, very smart guy, but as interesting as a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah, I don't know what he brings to the VP ticket, but he's
and
starting
Trump's
to
already
travel with Trump and stuff. I mean, he's out and about with him.
Good. I mean, I'm not saying he won't be due a cabinet post or something like that, but the Dakotas are already going Trump. So the Ohio thing is interesting because Florida's going Trump. I like Rubio. I just don't. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think that adds anything to it. But Ohio is interesting.
Yeah, but Ohio is supposedly not a swing state anymore. I mean, I think it's solid red at this point.
I really like Tim Scott. I mean, I think he's a dynamic personality.
He does. He speaks. I mean, he's extremely eloquent. I mean, he speaks super, super good. He's got a great story to tell. I do like Tim Scott a lot, and I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure Tom Cotton brings much to the ticket. I'm not sure J.D. Vance brings much to the ticket. I think it's got to be a female or a black male, I guess, at this point. I hate to get into politics like that, but he's got to have somebody that, an old white guy I don't think does much for the ticket.
Especially one that looks like Bert from Bert and Ernie. That's Burgum.
No Marjorie Taylor Greene in this list. Are you a little surprised there?
Not at all.
Do you think she gets cabinet position if Trump wins again?
I don't know.
I think she does. I think she stood by him, and unless she wants to do something else politically in Georgia, like run for governor or run for senator, I think she probably gets a nod in his staff.
I don't think she's got the juice for governor or senator. She's got the money. I just don't think she's got the juice for a statewide race.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be tough to beat the people we talk about all the time that are running for Senate and governor. But maybe, I wouldn't doubt if she's going to be in office 6 years at this point. This is her third term, right?
I believe so.
Or is she going into her third term, or is she going into her fourth term?
Maybe fourth.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Because she came in 16, I believe. Right.
But I just wonder if she's going to get some kind of cush position. Not that I don't think any position's cush up under Trump in his cabinet. We've seen how, he's just he's not probably the easiest guy to work up under for president. But she could get something. Maybe have her run the IRS. Cool.
Yeah, IRS, EPA.
Yeah, you really could. So we'll see.
She's such a lightning rod, but if you put her in charge of the IRS or the EPA or something like that, then what that does is effectively silences her.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yep.
You couldn't have her on this list anyway, because you can't have two outlandish people trying to see who can get their eyes to spin counterclockwise faster.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what happens if Trump's reelected. Honestly, I think at this point, I was looking at the Vegas odds. Trump's like a 56 or 57% favorite to win the election at this point, and Vegas is right most of the time. So we'll.
Yeah, they weren't in November of 2020 because they were at like 80%. Vegas odds were 80% for Trump, and I turned off the TV, went to bed, and woke up, and I'm like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know.
So Atlanta was left high and dry.
Good Lord. I didn't realize this was such a big story until I started reading about it. Because you live outside of Atlanta. I live down on the south side of town too, in Griffin, or a little south of Griffin. This didn't affect us at all, but I didn't realize that most of Atlanta lost water last week. They were talking to people that worked in Atlanta. They didn't go into the office. School programs, where they feed kids during the summer and have programs for the children. They had to shut down. This was a mess in Atlanta this week, and the mayor took a lot of heat on this. If you saw,
well, it's 100-year infrastructure.
Yes, that's what they were talking about, right? I saw the I saw the thing that broke, and then when they dug it up, that thing had to be built 100 years ago.
I was at a customer's house. I know these people a long time. That's why I was actually in Atlanta. I still go down for people that I've been around for in this case probably 15 years, 20 years. Mm-hmm. But they were getting distilled water and boiling water to put in the coffee pot for the next morning and all that stuff. And I was like, well, what's going on?
Right.
Like, yeah, we lost water, and now it's a boil water advisory, and they were taking it very, very seriously. They're two physicians. It's a husband and wife that are physicians, and they were taking the CDC's advice exactly. Like, boil it for this long. I'm kind of more lax with it. I'm like, there's no rule with survival. Big bubbles, no troubles. Once you get a good hard boil, it's fine.
Yeah, everything's burnt off. Yeah. What is the old deal? You're supposed to boil it for 8 minutes or something? Is that what the Boy Scouts tell you to do? That seems like a long time to boil water, though.
You can also drop bleach in it. You can also put iodine, but iodine always gave me a stomach ache.
Yeah.
Like that's like taking water from a stream, and you carry iodine tablets. You put it in your canteen and shake it up. But it's just as easy to carry an eyedropper full of bleach. It's the same thing that water purification does. when they take water from, I don't know, linear or whatever, they treat it with bleach.
Yep. Yeah, but I didn't realize the water was, so there were residents without water for 5 days. And this happened about a week and a half ago. So last Wednesday is when the water finally got turned back on. Everything got back to normal, but it was a 5-day ordeal. And I don't know if you saw this, but a lot of small business owners had to shut down in the Atlanta area, and they were asking Atlanta City Council to establish a $5 million relief fund to help the small businesses that lost money due to these water main breaks.
What I would have preferred to see Atlanta do is spend that $5 million bringing in potable water. You know, whether just like we do in Equatorial Africa. Mm-hmm. You bring a big old truck of potable water, and people bring their jugs filled up. But if you could do that for the business owners, and I don't know what businesses were shut down, but yeah, if you don't have any water, you can't operate steam tables.
You can't operate that. You can't have restrooms.
Restrooms, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think, is you can't operate your system. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens to look, I'm in a county that, too, this guy, the infrastructure is we don't have enough sewage in our area, and we're trying to build a bunch of, businesses are coming into town. There's not infrastructure to support. And that's where a lot of these cities are getting in trouble, is they're growing fast, and they haven't spent money on infrastructure like this that they should have over the years. But it's also tough to go to your taxpayers and go, we need to replace a bunch of stuff before it breaks. And that's the challenge with all these municipalities and counties, is how do you get ahead of this? Or you do like Atlanta, something breaks and then you just, you have a PR nightmare, and it affects people's lives and livelihoods.
Well, counties like yours and mine, we have the same problem with sewage. Sewer hookups are so expensive. They're on the wrong side of the street.
Yep.
So if you're trying to put a business in, you have to have sewer hookup, because you can't operate, I don't know, Costco with a septic tank.
Right.
At one point, we were like 90% septic in Paulding County.
Oh, yeah. Our county's, probably more than that. So, so if you want to bring business in, you've got to lay down the infrastructure or build infrastructure first, which costs a lot of money to do. I don't know how much it is to put in all the tubing and plumbing that gets done, but it's not cheap.
And we've had a restaurant that's been on hold for, I'm going to guess 5 years at this point.
Yep.
Waiting for this place to open, because they can't get the water. They can get enough not for the size place, and they have to put fire suppression in because of the square footage, but they don't have the water pressure to support the fire suppression. And of course, that means increasing the main coming from, of course, the other side of the road, and they want him to pay for it.
Yep.
And these guys that are opening, and this guy was doing everything out of pocket. He owns another restaurant in Marietta. He was doing everything out of pocket. So that's a killer.
Yeah, no doubt.
Then if the city of Dallas that this place is in, if they go to their taxpayers and say, hey, we want to, we're going to spend our money to bring water over to this restaurant, like, whoa. Well, I'm still in a well. Why, what's going on here?
Yep.
So I don't know, but it was an interesting story. But yeah, here's the thing. By the time the mayor's up for re-election, this will be long since forgotten.
Yep.
People just don't have the bandwidth for it.
No, you're totally right.
So Black Congressman tells the truth and gets blasted for it.
Yeah, so this is actually one of the people we talked about on the VP shortlist. It's Byron Donalds, who's a congressman out of Florida. He was at a campaign event in Philadelphia last week where he was having a black voter outreach event for President Trump. And he said... And
he's sitting with a glass of bourbon and a cigar.
So this is kind of a very relaxed environment. He's talking to, he's at a black voter outreach event. So he's having a conversation. And he's, and this is a quote. He said, you see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative. Black people have always been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then he said, and this is what he said, and then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, you go down that road, and now where are we? He said, referring to the former Department of Health, Education, and Welfare and the war on poverty programs that were, championed by Lyndon Johnson. So what he's saying is and it was taken all out of context. But what he's saying is, before Lyndon Johnson came around, before they passed all these programs, the black family was together. Black people were more conservative. Dads were at home. And guess what? Everybody, it's not just black families, but everybody's family is better as a family unit. So he's saying before all these policies came about with Lyndon Johnson and the war on poverty, which basically paid a lot of single moms more money to stay at home than, keeping their families together. He said during that era, and what he's basically saying is there was an era of Jim Crow, and then there was an era of when Lyndon Johnson came in. So it's not that he was saying Jim Crow was better for black people. He obviously, no one thinks that, but he's saying during that Jim Crow era that black families were together, they were more conservative, and that is better for everybody in the long term. So he's just saying we need to get back where people are together again as families.
Not to mention Jim Crow was a Democratic policy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, he's no shrinking violet. They came after him, and he
came back. Yeah, I mean, he was on all. Good for him. He went on all the liberal talk shows. He went on MSNBC's Joy Reid. She just blasted him. And he said, don't try to impose the fact that marriage rates were better and higher. And he said, I want to be clear, higher in the Jim Crow era to mean that I don't think Jim Crow was great, he said. He said, that's a lie. That is gaslighting. I would never say such a thing. And his point again was families were together in that era. And today, I think I heard a number the other day. It's less than 25% of black children are married into a household where mom and dad is at home. And look, it's not a lot better for white. I think the white number, or for people born into white families, is maybe 55 to 60%. And so it's not, everybody can improve, but the black family is just not together as much as it was in the past.
Now, look, it doesn't mean that mother and father should stay together in a dysfunctional relationship. But
yeah, true.
Even within divorce, kids do better when there's co-parenting.
Yes.
And what Tim Scott's talking about is forget it. Not being involved in the kid's life, just moving on after knocking somebody up, because there's no financial penalty to it. Now, if you were to get divorced, it'd cost you a fortune. You still have to pay for two college kids and all that stuff, and it's even more expensive for people with younger kids. So there's a penalty. There's a financial penalty to doing that.
Yeah. And
obviously, there's a financial benefit to staying involved. To even though it may be a single parent household, but co-parenting, being involved in whether it's Little League or teacher parent conferences.
Oh yeah, just everything. I mean, yeah, 100%.
And so I don't think the marriage rate it's indicative, but I don't think it's a cause and effect. I think there's a definite correlation, but the cause and effect is the father not being involved at all in the child's life. I know my father's name is this, but I've never met him, or something like that. Or you've got 4 kids with 4 different last names.
Yep.
And that's detrimental to these kids, because especially boys need to have a role model to show them how to be a father and how to treat a woman. And girls need to see how a woman should be treated.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
And without that give and take, they're really the kids don't they grow up in a way that the boys learn that there's no penalty to knocking somebody up and moving on. There's no penalty. My father did it, and he did just fine. My mama raised me, and she did just fine. So we don't. There has to be a carrot and a stick to everything. Things need to be better when you do the right things, and when you don't, there should be a financial cost to it. I'm not saying throwing people in jail, but there needs to be a financial cost to it, and there just isn't.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm talking about the lowest 20% of income earners, because you can't really garnish what somebody doesn't have. So what happens? It goes on to the government.
Yeah, it goes to the government's back, and taxpayers pay for all this. Yeah, it's 100% what happens. Yeah, but I mean, look, I like this guy a little bit better after not coming out with an apology and actually standing up and defending himself. Good for him that he didn't just cower back and apologize for his comments. He came out and defended his comments and told people what he thought. So good for him.
Oh, the interview I saw, she's like, well, you're married to a white woman, and it's just basically calling him a race traitor. And he hit back. Mm-hmm. He went blow for blow. And I appreciate him saying, F you. This is what I said, and you're a liar. You're taking things out of context, and that makes you a liar. And he didn't say it exactly like that. And that's probably why I'm not in politics, because I would. But yeah, I really appreciate him. You talk about being a man, bowing up and saying, no, that's not what I said. That's not what happened. And look, I as much to say that Trump doesn't necessarily need somebody from Florida. I tell you what, he's a strong one, because he doesn't have the crazy stuff, but he's not going to take anybody's crap.
No, he's not.
I noticed no one ever called Kamala Harris a race traitor for being married to a white guy.
Yeah. I like Byron Donalds more than I like Tim Scott. I think this guy's a little less polished, and I think Tim Scott would potentially come out and apologize. This guy tells it like it is. I like him better than Tim Scott.
Yeah, I apologize like I do at home. I'm really sorry you got your feelings hurt and you misunderstood me. Because that always goes over well, is the non-apology. All right, so no more trips to the Sky Club for me, huh?
Well, especially if you're flying on long haul flights. What is this? If you're flying like 6 to 8 hours, it sounds like the more you drink before you fly, the more dangerous it is for that trip.
If that was the case, we'd see people dropping dead everywhere.
Yeah, what they said is that, they analyzed oxygen levels in the blood of people from 18 to 40 who were basically split into two groups. And they said, if you drank alcohol before you got on the plane, your blood oxygen levels decreased quite a bit. And then also their heart rate increased. So that was the point. If you drink alcohol, your blood, your heart rate increases and your blood oxygen levels decrease into almost a dangerous level.
Well, even on board an airplane, the pressure is not sea level.
Right.
So you do have decreased atmospheric pressure. So it's like, I don't know if you've ever been to Denver and up to Telluride or up to Breckenridge or anything like that. But 3 beers at elevation is a lot different than 3 beers at the beach.
Very true.
But look, if this was the case, again, we see people dropping dead. I'm in Sky Club sometimes at 7 o'clock in the morning, grabbing a quick bite, waiting for my flight to board. And I know people have criticized folks before for going in and getting cocktails that hour. My response is, you don't know what time zone they're from.
Oh, I'm amazed. I'm amazing when you get to the airport, though, and people are drinking beer at 7 o'clock in the morning. I know you don't know what time zone, but more than likely, these people are just like, yeah, we're in the airport, we're going to drink a beer.
Yeah, it's vacation time.
Yeah, it's vacation time. That's exactly what it is. You
don't remember the announcements when we were kids? Talking about eye openers. We've got Bloody Marys and mimosas. It used to be an announcement that they would make it a 6 o'clock flight about eye openers and what they have. I mean, that's just the way the world was.
That's funny.
And yet, everybody that I know that flew during that time still alive.
Nobody died during that period of time because they drank before getting on the flight. Yeah, this seems like just a wasted money for a study. More likely, some government agency made people study this, and that's where your taxpayers die. It looked like the study came out of the British Medical Journal. So I'm guessing those our British friends over there paid money for this stupid study.
And the Brits can drink,
Oh yeah, no doubt.
particularly Scottish.
Yep.
I mean, look, you're not going to get a Scotsman on a flight and tell me he can't have a glass of whiskey before he takes off. I mean, them's fighting words. So I'd like to buy a vowel.
Yeah, how about this? I miss this.
You know, I knew he was retiring, and I knew when he taped his last show. I don't watch Wheel of Fortune. I watch what comes on after. I watch Jeopardy every day.
I watched the bloopers and the good things that come out of it, but I don't watch
Oh
it
yeah,
religiously
the college,
at night. Yeah.
the college kid who couldn't say what was it, something. It was supposed to be Achilles, but he called
Yeah,
it
it said Ageless.
Ageless. Like
Yeah.
kid just lost like $1 million scholarship because he couldn't
know.
pronounce Achilles.
Yeah, but Pat Sajack, so I guess last Friday was his last show. He was 77 years old. He started in 1981 and he's taped more than 8,000 episodes alongside his partner, Vanna White. That is amazing. 41 seasons, 8,000 episodes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he was a DJ at one point. And a lot of people were. I mean, you know, he's obviously got the presence and over doing it over the years. Obviously, he's gotten very, very good at it. But you know, it's time to relax. Filming schedules are tough.
Yeah, he's good. And it's good. I go out and watch the bloopers. It is so funny sometimes what people say on that show. And I'm sure he's made a lot of money in his 41 years of doing this, along with Vanna White. How did they stay together that long? That is truly amazing.
It's a work relationship. They first time Vanna wasn't making very much money. She came in, I think, a year or two after he came on, and she was a nice pair of legs to go turn letters over.
Right.
But as the show progressed and as she kind of grew into the role, she was able to negotiate more money.
Yep.
But yeah, she was brought in to be a model because she was a model, and then grew into a personality. I think the first couple seasons, I don't think she ever talked besides hi. And now they have conversations back and forth, and I would have liked to see Vanna host it and bring another set of legs over to. They don't even turn letters anymore; just walk over and hit and touch it or whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of that, who is going to be the new host? I haven't heard.
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do a Jeopardy sort of thing where they try different people out. Yeah, I'd say it's not a hard gig. It is because the filming schedule.
But it's your personality he brings to it, which makes the show so good. It's not just him. I mean, it's his personality. He understands when to be funny, when not to be funny. He's just good. But I would hope after 41 years you were good.
Well, yeah, keep a job for 41 years,
right?
And you know what? I think Alex Trebek dying probably had a lot to do with it. Is he watched Alex Trebek work until the very end, until he couldn't work anymore.
Yep, exactly.
And as much as even when I hear Jeopardy come on, I know he's going to say Ken Jennings, but when I hear Johnny say the host of Jeopardy, my mind still says Alex Trebek.
Yep.
And I think seeing somebody, you know, I don't say Alex didn't die on stage, but he worked until he couldn't do it anymore. And I think somebody, you know, in their late 70s looks at that and says, you know what? I've made my money. I've got more money than I could spend, than my kids could spend. I've got all the notoriety I could ever want. You know, let me enjoy some of this.
Very true.
And I hope he lives to be over 100. I hope he has time to enjoy all the work he's done over the years.
Yep, I agree.
What the hell's wrong with Duncan?
I don't know. I mean, he's full blown. I mean, look, you can be anti-Trump and not think that Donald Trump is the right person to lead the Republican Party. But what he should do is just sit down and shut the hell up. I mean, at this point, he's talking about going to speak at the Democrat National Convention, like, you know, Zell Miller did back in the day at the Republican National Convention.
Zigzag Zell.
Yeah, but he said, he said, I'm committed between now and November to defeating Donald Trump at the ballot box and steering the Biden administration closer to the middle. There's no steering the Biden administration closer to the middle, especially from a white middle-aged guy like Duncan. I mean, what does he think? Does he think he has power over the Biden agenda? I mean, who does this guy think he is?
To have such a personal hatred in politics is unproductive.
I know, and I really like Geoff. He went in the same time I did to the House, or he went into the lieutenant governor when I went into the House, and I met him on a campaign trail. He was a very conservative member of the Republican House when he was in it, but at a certain point in time, just look, you're not in office anymore. Just sit back and shut up. I mean, enough is enough. Like,
look,
don't
Liz
vote
Cheney.
don't vote for Trump, but you also don't have to campaign against Trump.
Voting or campaigning against Trump and speaking of the DNC is endorsing the guy who poops himself.
Yes, and it's endorsing all the policies that Biden gets behind, like open borders,
anti-gun,
abortion. I mean, so he's endorsing all the policies that go against exactly what Geoff Duncan, I think, would support. So it's not just supporting Biden. He's supporting all those Democrat policies, and he's also, by going out supporting for Biden, he's also supporting people potentially kicking other Republican representatives out of the state House, the state Senate, Congress potentially. So he's putting it a lot at jeopardy by doing this.
I know Duncan is smart enough to understand down the ticket.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's not just Georgia. It's governorships around the country. It's down the ticket. It's when
it's a lot of damage he's doing, and Democrats love to get somebody like him come speak because it shows that we got the Republican converting over. I mean, this is
a useful idiot, and they will use him up and throw him away.
Oh, 100%. He's not staring the Biden administration anywhere.
He thinks he's going to take Don Lemon's spot on CNN, and that's not going to happen.
No, that's what he wants. He wants a spot on CNN, and he thinks by doing all this supporting Biden that's what's going to happen. If I know what he's doing. He's gunning for a spot, like you just said. If Trump does win in November, then they'll give him a primetime gig, and he can rail on Trump for the next 4 years.
Just shut your mouth.
Yes.
Ride out this election cycle. If you want to get dip your toe back in,
no,
you
he's
can say,
done.
I mean into media. If you want to dip your toe in media or whatever, and say, look, I don't agree with this. I don't agree. I'm not endorsing either. I think we need to get 2 new candidates. Whatever. But he apparently just lost his ability to be nuanced. And I'm not talking about being a team player. I'm talking about endorsement through hate. And that's not the right thing. You endorse somebody because you believe in what they say. You believe in what they do, and you believe in their policies. You don't endorse somebody because you hate the other guy.
Yep, exactly.
So, in the Navy, the SEALs done got woke.
How about this one? So the official Facebook page for the U.S. Navy SEALs and Navy Special Warfare Command was mocked over the weekend for marking the start of Pride Month, and they basically put, they had their little LGBTQ plus Pride Month thing that they posted online with the rainbow designs, and they said NSW, dignity, service, respect, equality, and pride. And then on top of that, they knew this was not going to go out well, so they basically limited the number of comments they could get on their post. Yeah, why? Like, why do this?
I don't care about sexual orientation. Hey, look, here's the other thing. We've been calling sailors gay since the Army and the Navy were first conceived. It's an inter-service joke. I've actually got a picture on my Facebook that I put up during the Army-Navy game years and years ago. And they had written on the back of the uniforms, "Go Navy," right? But a couple of the buddies, I guess, had gone to the bathroom or gone to get a Coke or whatever, and the 3 guys sitting next to each other were GAY. And I thought that was hilarious and shared it on my Facebook just because that's we're always making fun of the Navy for that.
Yep.
Obviously, it's a little different with SEALs. You want to choose your words carefully, or you're going to end up in a fight you can't win. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's just silliness. I mean, it really
just stop going woke. Stop doing stupid stuff.
No reason to do this. I mean, there's zero reason to do this.
And nobody is converted by that. Nobody. It doesn't increase recruitment. It doesn't do anything.
Yep.
All it does is raise eyebrows of people who might be SEALs, who are alpha males and things like that, who like, what is this? Maybe I'll go somewhere else.
I know.
This is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions, not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over the GeorgiaVirtue.com. The mule is mine. Speaking of special operations.
Two military stories in a row.
Well, let's say go somewhere else. Go to the Army Special Operations. All right. U.S. Army is apologizing. They were live streaming a change of command ceremony at the 1st Special Warfare Training Group Airborne. That is where I went to school for psychological operations, where I went to school for language school. This is a training command. So change of command ceremony is a formal event, passing off the command from one commander to the other, and there's a whole ceremony that goes with it. This was being live streamed, and apparently it cut to a Jeffrey Toobin.
So we had a Jeffrey Toobin. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So the Army has been forced to apologize and say they're investigating this. Look, why are we still live streaming this stuff? Why are we still doing Zoom calls for change of command stuff? If you want, first of all, it's not that being in a change of command ceremony sucks. Go stand out in the sun at attention and parade rest for 2 hours while people speak.
Right.
It's like graduation, but standing straight up at attention. Why are we still doing this? I don't know. This is a COVID leftover. I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if they were hacked or what was going on. But this is bad. JFK Special Warfare Center in school is the mule for this week. Just good Lord. So bad news for interest rates.
Yes. Last week we got so you probably know the whole deal around the Fed increasing interest rates. It was to really tamp down the job market. So they wanted to throw some, which is amazing to me that they wanted the job market to kind of suffer. But they wanted the job market to suffer. They wanted interest rates or inflation to continue to come down. Well, last week we had another great jobs report. So non-farm payrolls last Friday expanded by 272,000 for the month. They didn't expect about 190. So this was 82,000 more than the experts expected. So the news here is if economy is still hot and companies are still hiring, that there's really no reason for the Fed to lower the interest rates anytime soon.
I think this is a false number. These jobs that are created are overwhelmingly part-time and temporary. So
there's a lot in government too. So 68,000 were in healthcare, 43,000 government jobs were created, which is amazing to me that 43,000 government jobs could be created in a month.
And that's every level of government.
I know that's still a big number.
It is, but when we see temporary hiring, when do we see booms? We see summer because we see hiring students for camp counselors, whatever else.
Yep.
So we see a large hiring in that. Then we see the same thing in November going into December for the holiday shopping season.
Yeah, right.
So so we see booms in those numbers, and those are temporary jobs. These, for summertime, it's, kids are out of school for the summer and they'll go pick up employment doing just whatever. Think about being in Michigan and going to work at one of the island parks, or renting boats, or Ohio working at Cedar Point, or even Atlanta, You go and you work for Six Flags for the summer, and we're talking about hundreds of jobs here and there. When you look nationwide, it's everywhere from Alaska and Hawaii down to Florida. So we see those temporary job increases. The government jobs, I wish they were all first responders and obviously dispatchers that we need to keep our communities safe, and not IRS agents.
I know.
But increasing government hiring is spinning a hamster wheel, because you're just taking money from people who are productive and handing it to people who often are not productive.
Yep. No, I agree. And other things that came out of the numbers last week were the average hourly earnings were higher than expected. So those rose 0.4%, and they were up 4.1% from a year ago. So that was a number that went up a good bit.
But it still does not outpace inflation.
No, it's not. And if you saw the stock market reacted, stock market went down last Friday on this news again, because especially on the tech sector, tech stocks do really well with lower interest rates versus higher interest rates. So tech went down last Friday on this news. I'm not sure we're not stuck with these interest rates for a while. There's even people calling for the Fed to raise interest rates instead of drop. And at the beginning of the year, they were talking about doing 5 rate cuts. It's down to maybe 1 rate cut now, which, I bought my first house. I don't know about you. I bought my first house at a little over 7%, which I think is what the 30-year rate is today. So this is not unheard of. It just feels really bad when the interest rate was at 2.5 and 3 for a 30-year for so many years.
Well, it's not that. It's you can't get somebody, like me or you, to leave a perfectly good home, even though I want some more land. Can't get me to leave this interest rate to go get a house that's twice as expensive at twice the rate. It has its impacts on business lending, where I think a business real estate loan right now is around 8.5%, 9%.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is.
So if you're looking to expand your business, maybe looking to pick up new equipment, you own a grading company, whatever, and you can decide whether to fix your existing equipment or buy new equipment. When the interest rates were on business loans were 4% or even a little bit less.
Yeah, totally different game.
Yeah, why would I spend $20,000 to fix this piece of equipment when I could spend $200,000 at 3% and have a brand new piece of equipment with warranty? So we're starting to see a tightening on that, and when you start seeing tightening on commercial stuff, then you start seeing the jobs, the good-paying jobs, the jobs that heavy equipment operator, heavy equipment mechanic, those types of guys that are high 5 figures, low 6-figure blue collar jobs. We start seeing those go away, and then we get fooled by numbers like this, where people are getting hired into the government, people are getting hired on hourly rate and bragging about getting $18 an hour when a good diesel mechanic makes 2 or 3 times that. Yep,
exactly.
We're starting to see softening in the automobile market. When COVID finally quote unquote ended, it was never really a thing for me, but when COVID really ended, vehicle prices were damn near twice what they were in 2019. I mean, at one point I could have sold my truck, which was a 2019 Ram, for twice what I paid for it, and the interest rates were still low. But now, are you going to go buy a $110,000 F-150 and then pay 8%, 9% on it? No, of course not. And what I see in the near future is more and more failure on revolving debt, because that's the first thing to go. And when that revolving debt starts hitting 30%, people just can't afford it. They just can't keep up.
Yep, very true.
And what's not included with inflation numbers, which pisses me off to no end, because this is something that you don't have an option. You have to buy groceries. you have to go. You have to feed your kids, and that number's not even included in inflation. Raising interest rates or lowering interest rate doesn't have any effect on the price of food because people have to buy food. What it has an effect on is what else don't people buy when an apple now costs you $3,
Right.
and an Apple computer costs you $3,000. It's actually not bad for people in repair industries, computer repair. What I do, HVAC repair. When the economy is bad, I do fewer new systems and do a lot more repairs. The end result for me is typically the same financially. What ate me up was the price of parts, refrigerant, and new equipment going up faster than I could keep up with it.
Yep.
All right, Kenny, as we're winding down, what do you have for your closing thought?
Oh, I think both my kids this week are down, which is a pretty cool little thing. American Legion in Georgia has an event every summer they call, oh my God, it's what in the world? Boys State and Girls State. I just blanked for a minute. So a couple kids from each county go down. They have this event. It's at Valdosta this year. So they create a mock government. So all the kids divide up and they elect representatives and senators and sheriffs and city council members. And then they pass a bunch of legislation. So my son's back down there for the third year now, being a counselor this year. And my up and coming senior in high school daughter is jumping into the little political realm this week of going down to Valdosta. So pretty cool little event if any of the listeners have kids you do it between your junior and senior year, but it's a really cool event that the American Legion puts on. Teaches the kids a lot about government and what's going on and how to talk in front of people. It's just a really, really good time. And they show it on Facebook if anybody wants to tune in. So it's very neat.
They need to be knocking on doors.
Yeah, and then what they do is they elect, so coming out of Boys State and Girls State, they elect two boys from Georgia and two girls from Georgia to go to Washington, D.C. for a Boys Nation and Girls Nation. And then they joined 100 other kids from around the nation in D.C. for a week and did the same type of exercise. My son actually got to go to that a few years ago and loved it. But yeah, it's a really good thing if you have a rising senior in high school and they're interested in politics.
Well, the restraining order keeps me away from high schools. All right. So this last week, I was leaving the chamber luncheon, and I was sitting at a stoplight, and there's a left turn lane beside me, and two girls were in there. I mean, I don't know, 18, 20 years old, whatever. They roll down their windows and wave at me and stuff. And I rolled down my window and said, hey, you guys need anything? They said, we just want you to know Jesus loves you. And I said, well, Jesus loves you too. Thank you. Do you have a church? We'd like to invite you to basically the Mormon church. I'm like, first of all, thank God they weren't hitting on me. Because that would mean they had some serious daddy issues. But yeah, 20 years ago, if two chicks had flagged me down, I would assume that one of them was hitting on me. I guess 27, 28 years ago, almost 30 years ago. Yeah, good Lord, the years are racking up, Kenny. And then I did something similar today as we record. Daniel Stout, Representative Emeritus Daniel Stout, lives literally around the corner from me. I could walk to his house. So I see his truck coming, and I roll down my window and hang my hand out to wave at him, and it's not Daniel. His wife is driving. She has no idea who the hell I am. So I called Daniel, and I was like, man, is your wife driving your truck? Because, yeah, we swapped vehicles today. I said, well, tell her that the weird guy pulling out of the poor neighborhood waving at her was me. Because I just saw the truck. He has a very distinctive vehicle. He drives a pearl white Lincoln pickup truck.
That's funny.
So it's the only one that I know of in Paulding County. So I know it when I see it, especially when it's this close to my house. I figure it's him. But yeah. So the girls were flagging me down, and I thought they might have been hitting on me. And then poor Daniel's wife, he sees some redneck in a pickup truck hanging his arm out the window and waving at her.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, pure class, Dave. Pure class.
We've all done something stupid like that before.
Yeah, but I'm a professional at being stupid. So on that happy note, big thanks to Eric Cumby, who takes this audio and turns it into something you can listen to. Ken Poland, my partner in endeavor. I'm Dave Roberts. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. Pacing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.